Hello everyone, long time no see. Haven't done these in a hot minute. Where have I been? I have been right here. I've just been horribly busy and really falling off the reading wagon lately, which is a shame, and I should be punished for that. But you know, I thought I'd do a little one of these now. I'm still on a break from my wolf book. Like I can't, bro. Like it's a lot. It's too much. I'm just a girl. I'm reading something else now though, which this is not a video about that book. It's much heavier. It's an autobiography. You'll know about it when you know about it, but kind of like taking my time with it. I've been quite busy lately in my personal life, and so haven't had as much time to lend to my hobbies and spending time on my own as much. So kind of still figuring out how to make that work-life balance happen. I think by the time I figure it out, I'm gonna be done work, so we'll see. But I did kind of go back to reading just a little bit for fun. This is what I used to do as a kid, particularly as like a preteen, hanging out on our own. Is I had these books and I just kind of flipped through the same book that I've read multiple times, and that kept me company. And so I actually went back to a couple that I used to read as a kid. So, and you can very clearly see that these are really old books. This is a book by comic artist Margreet de Heer and her husband Yuri. Fun name. One of these is called Science, a Discovery in Comics, and the other is Philosophy, Discovery in Comics. There's a third one called Religion, a Discovery in Comics, but I never got that. But I kind of figured it out on my own anyway. You know, go on your own little adventure with religion. But these were like hella big for me growing up. I got this when I think I was 10 years old. My a family member gifted this to me. And then at the end of the book, there's like a sort of list of what other things that the author's done, and I saw that she had 2 other books. So in the subsequent year, I think 2 years later, I received this one. Very much an insight into how I used to be as a kid. I had my friend ask me recently if there was ever a time where I wasn't a talkative person. And no, literally, I was always talking. I've been locked in since day one. But it is like, it is quite different as to like what I was talking about. Like, I don't like saying, the gifted child syndrome. I was smart at school. You know, nothing too crazy about that. I'm brown. We are smart. I'm kidding. You're allowed to be not smart, by the way, if that's what you want to be. But, yeah, I just was, you know, and that was just like a thing. I just knew things. I liked watching the TV a lot. I liked watching a lot of stuff on YouTube. Oh my god, Vsauce, loved Vsauce growing up. So I just knew things about things. One of my favorite books growing up was a 2-part encyclopedia that my mom got me. And I had it annotated, and I'd like draw over the really cool pictures. So like, you know, I'm reading an encyclopedia. I know some stuff, so I'd be like the weird kid. I'd be like, did you know that da 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 da? And I'd say shit like that, you know. So this kind of book, and I've actually lent it out to friends in like the same grade as me, and they're like, nah, this ain't my thing. It's just too much yap. And I'm like, bro, this is a fun book. You imagine knowing facts. You could just say stuff, just say facts to people, and they're like, no, I don't want to do that. So that was fun. But I don't know, I quite like, this is kind of a chronological journey as to how the theory side of science happens. So like, this book isn't teaching you like any science per se, but more so about how it came about. And I've also always been a little interested in history, not in like a extremely invested way, but just I like reading my history books and watching history YouTube videos. And every year, before the school year started, my mom would get all the textbooks And over the summer, I would be done reading my history textbook back to back, or cover to cover, however you say it. Yeah, nerd. So, to answer my friend's question, no, I was never not talkative. I was just talking about weird things. But it was fun, you know, like it's always fun to add in like a little anecdote or a little fun fact. Don't really know the difference between fun facts and factoids, but like I was the factoid guy. I like to think I wasn't very annoying with the actually you're doing that wrong, but like knowledge is meant to be shared. I've always believed in that. Big reason why education has been such a big part of my life. Some of the people I respected the most and was the most close to were like my teachers and such, because I felt very respected by them, and obviously vice versa. I don't think there was ever a teacher that I disrespected. I hope not. If I did, I'm sorry. But, you know, you can't really live life that way. I mean, it's one thing to be like a really annoying 12-year-old, but at some point you want to start talking about other things and thinking about other things. So I was reading literature, but like I wasn't really understanding a lot of it, especially a lot of the emotions and a lot of the philosophy that they talked about. And so I started inching a little bit towards philosophy after that. Went headfirst into Nietzsche, bad idea. Don't do that, especially at a young age, but you know, interesting guy. I learned a couple of things. God is not dead. He lied about that one. He also died of syphilis, I think, which seems to be a theme, but whatever. And so that's when this book, which I read 2 years after that, so I don't know, I was like 14, 15 maybe, no, yeah, 14 I guess, by the time I got to this guy. Again, not really too much about philosophy per se, like this isn't a book teaching me philosophy, but more so about philosophy and how it came about, what are the different schools of thought, etc., etc. Some really saucy comics on the back. By the way, I should probably show you guys a couple of pages from these. These are like beautifully done. Like these are, ooh, I went to the saucy photo. This is beautifully done. There's a really pretty one in the science one. I like, sometimes as a kid, I just kind of stare at it. There's one about infinity. I think the first time I kind of started getting into math was when I read this book, even though I was bad at it back then. But kind of, I don't know. I'm just talking about myself. How are you? How was your day? That's not the point of these. The point of these is for me to talk to myself. And there's a reason behind that. It's because, like, I talk, okay? I talk. But not always about the things that matter. Like, it took me a very long time to learn how to talk about my own emotions and my own stresses and anxieties and insecurities, and even, like, my own joy and excitement. Like, I had a really hard time articulating, oh, like, I love this moment right now, and I love hanging out with you right now. Like, it took me a while to figure out how to say that in a way that I was comfortable, and in a way where I didn't think I'd be laughed at or something. And so, if nothing else, these books have helped me a lot to understand that, oh, there's other things that people are thinking about too, and other things that people want to talk about. Particularly this philosophy one. As you can tell by now, I grew out of that phase and now I just talk about shit like this. Which is not entirely true. I wasn't always like this. If anything, I think I've become more like this over time. Maybe I'm just more comfortable with who I am. There's this part of this book that I've been thinking about for 10 years. Almost 10 years, I guess. I don't know. There's, so lots of stuff about different schools of thought. You go from like the Greeks and then to like the saints and then to like Spinoza and stuff like that. Talk about Eastern philosophy, Western philosophy. Great book. Highly recommend. But towards the end of the book, the comic artist, she interviews a couple of people and talks to them about what their personal philosophy is. So she talks to her husband, she talks to her dad, I think, or her grandpa, I think probably her dad, her mother-in-law, and like a friend of theirs, or I think, is it a friend, or I think it's her brother. I think it's her younger brother that she talks to. And so people have all these different personalities and personal philosophies that they talk about. And the one that stood out to me the most was one of her friends. And he talks about how in a Huxley book, I believe, there's a quote where the birds are singing here and now. And that's his philosophy of being here and now. Before reading that, I used to think a lot about like the big picture of everything. What is it? Why are any of us here? What is it all for? I'd be asking, those big picture questions. And I still do. But before, I thought I could get to those big picture questions. Now I realize that all I really do have is the here and now. There's a Bright Eyes song called We Are Nowhere and It's Now, which I think, I don't know, those kind of work together sometimes. I know I've been in a Bright Eyes phase lately. Poetry, by the way. I don't know, that's what I've been thinking about. I'm like, yeah, no, like, I have a YouTube channel, and like, it can grow, and people can get subscribers, and blah, 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 blah. But like, it doesn't matter now, does it? Like, all I really have is, here's what it's at right now. That's not my goal. That was a silly example. Point is, I've talked about a lot of different things in a lot of different videos, and some of it makes me sound crazy, some of it makes me sound fantastical and delusional and longing and yearning for a future that does not yet exist. I don't have any control over that. The only thing I have any control over, even though it's very little, is the here and now. And I try through these videos is to capture a snapshot of who I am currently. I'm not particularly proud of my first video, not because of how it turned out. I think it fit the needs, but I don't think I'm particularly proud of the version of me that's talking in that video. I'm a bit proud, more proud of like the ones subsequent, but like these are all snapshots of versions of myself that I'm becoming. And yeah, that's why it's been like over a month or so. I don't know when the next video is going to be out. I don't want to give myself a timeline for these because it is for me, and I'm just like, if I feel like it today, I'm gonna do it, and the other book's kind of dense, bro. Like that one's kind of like it's an autobiography. It's tough. I sound like an illiterate person these days. I'm like, oh my god, it's such a tough book. It's okay. Whatever. Getting off topic. I promised myself I wouldn't cross 15 minutes for this one though, because this is just like talking out loud again. Yeah. So as I've been reading these books, or rereading these books, I kind of think about how I used to be as a kid, and then how I used to be when I revisited these books when I was a teenager. Interesting thing is, so these books only made their way to me like a couple of months ago in January, I would say. Because I have a lot of books on my bookshelf, like my bookshelf as a kid. It's like my desk / my bookshelf. And I've like slowly been bringing some books over. My dad goes back to visit a lot, and because he has some work he needs to do there. And every time I ask him to bring back a couple of books for me, and every time he hesitates, and every time I ask him for 5, he brings 3. I ask him for 7, he brings 4, something like that. He'll kind of hit below the mark, and it's because he doesn't want to go back to seeing that desk and that shelf empty of books, because he thinks that would imply that I was never there. And maybe the version of me that used to be there isn't there anymore. And I don't think those versions of us are there anymore. But I think we grow to be different. I'm not even sad. I don't know why. Oh, those tears look great in the sunlight. People are gonna think I'm crazy if I put this one up. But I will, because who gives a shit? Yeah. So, versions of you cease to exist, and new versions appear. It's like a perpetual phoenix. Is it a phoenix that like rises from its ashes and whatnot? I used to think of like a lizard tail analogy, but that one's kind of gross. So, yeah. I don't know, not much to say about today. I just kind of wanted to do one because like it's been nice reflecting, and it's been bittersweet reflecting, as you can clearly see. Hopefully the next time I do one of these, there's less crying involved and less rambling. I don't know, man. I'm just doing my thing. I'm just out here existing. Perhaps this is all performative in some way and I should just stop. But like, it's kind of fun. Like, look, I look gorgeous in the sunlight. So, sexiest cry ever. That's going to be the title of the video. Anyways, thank you for watching. I love you. I hope you had a wonderful, beautiful day. What are the other things I used to say? I hope you have a great day. I hope you had a great day. I hope you have a great day tomorrow. I love you. Thanks for listening.